What up, OGs? What's going on, man? We're back with another episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the last one. I hope it was very informative and very educational. We are here today with a new episode. I'm here with my boy, Calvin Calbo, Philpott, friend and family.
Sure.
So we have a really, really interesting topic for you guys today. It's called Death Becomes Him. And it's about Calvin's journey or his experiences with death and how has it affected him. And this is, a personal one to me, and I guess a lot of other people that have experienced death, and that, you're still in certain stages of grief or different things like that you can pull from this video, okay? So I want you guys to pay close attention, grab a snack, get your drink, get comfy like always, and join us for the ride. All right, Calbo.
What's going on, Paul?
I'm good, boy.
My boy.
Know that. All right, so the first question I want to ask you, how old were you when you first experienced death or a situation of loss?
I was exactly 4 years old. It was
Okay.
my mother. My mother had passed away. When she gave birth to me, she lost a lot of blood, and she needed a blood transfusion. And back then, the HIV virus really wasn't a big known thing like
Right.
that. It was still up and coming. And she contracted the virus through the blood transfusion.
Okay.
And she survived 4 years with me, but after that, she wasn't able to go any further.
Wow.
So, you can imagine at that age, it was different. It was tricky. Didn't really know how to cope with that. You go to primary school, everybody else got their mamas.
Right.
People asking you, "Where's your mama?" And it was different.
I couldn't imagine, at 4, you're still young, but 4 is still enough age where you form the connection with your mama. A lot of people, you form straight out the womb because it's like mother, you're attached, she birthed you, so I couldn't imagine. I couldn't.
It's strange because obviously, like you said, there had to be a connection, but
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't remember anything.
Wow.
I don't know the sound of her voice. I don't know what she smells like. If it wasn't for pictures, I wouldn't even know what she looked like.
Really?
So whatever attachment might... What I can say is there are people today that tell me that my personality is a lot like her, which is weird. I guess that's how genes work, right?
Yeah.
You still kind of turn out to be like them, but yeah, definitely it was... how do I word that? Missing piece.
Okay.
Definitely a missing piece because I don't know. I just don't know.
Right.
I don't remember, Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's it's not an easy thing. It's really not an easy thing to, like you said, lose your mom at such a young age, and for you, not really remembering, but having all these other people kind of tell you, I'm like her and your ways or certain things like that, that's not easy. So like starting off already, death could impact us, I feel, at any age that, we're never really prepared for. You're never truly prepared for, things like this to happen. So
Has no face, has no time.
no, not
That's
at all.
facts. That's facts for sure. Lil Wayne used to say that life's a bitch and death's her husband.
Okay.
You read between the lines of that. The face he makes, I can't do it. I tried.
Okay, so how did that experience impact you? Like life, friends, family, things like that, like growing up.
I think on the initial basis of just losing my mom, because there was a few other people that followed, but on the initial basis, I don't think it affected me. Like, I didn't know any different. My nana, she had made a promise to my mom on her deathbed that she would take care of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all I really knew was my nana in that household.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't until, like I said, going to school, and like children can be cruel. That's one thing. Children can be real cruel. And to believe it or not, I got teased for not having a mom. You know? So at home, I really didn't notice too much because my nana done what she had to do.
Right.
But being around other kids is when I really noticed it. Going to PTA meetings and like everyone else's mom is there, my mom's not there, you know, and just those type of experiences. It took a deep toll on my personality.
Okay.
Grades wise, I was on point. I was always good in school,
Right.
you know, and stuff like that. Primary school level, I wasn't getting into trouble yet. You know what I mean? But the grades was on point, but it was just all the questions. Like my nana used to get, I wouldn't say she got annoyed, but it was just like, where's my mom? Why don't I have a mom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why are these kids teasing me for it? You know, so the initial impact of it was definitely just from peers. I don't think I was old enough to really grasp what it really meant until I started getting older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think for your granny that, you know, like you said, it might have been really hard for her as well, you know, even as an adult, you know, but you don't really know sometimes what to say when it comes to death situations, especially to a young child, you know, and like you said, kids can be very cruel. You know, they haven't, kids don't really develop that kind of, I was talking about the other day with my wife, actually, small sidebar. I was talking about it the other day with my wife, and I was like, kids, it's like they don't realize when they're hurting feelings, but they know that their feelings can be hurt.
Facts.
You know, they can feel hurt when you say something, when you push them on whatever. They know hurt feelings, but it's almost like their brain is not developed yet at a certain age where when they say things, like you said, it can embarrass a parent, embarrass an adult, or really scar a young child. But they don't realize the impact they're having yet, you know, on that person until they reach a certain age, and then it really realizes like, hey, if I say this, that hurts. If I do this, that's going to embarrass someone or make someone feel uncomfortable, you know?
Facts.
So I was just having that conversation the other day. Wow. So like as far as the experience, like with friends and stuff, would you say that you had many friends at that age, or it was like, you know, I know they were teasing you, and you know, and you felt because PTA meetings and different things like where's mama and things like that. How did you have any, you know, friends that you were close to, or anyone that you could have, you know, kind of clung to more because of that feeling that you held, or that void, so to speak?
Primary school, I could say it wasn't the worst. You know, high school, that'd be the next question, I guess. When we get to high school, it's a different story. But primary school wasn't the worst, because even though, you know, kids, we have short-term memories.
Okay.
So a kid could tease you, and 5 minutes later, you're playing together.
True.
You know what I mean? So
very true.
For the general aspect of it, it was all right. It wasn't bad. You know, everyone pretty much got along. Everyone was cool.
Right.
You know, obviously, I'll have my little moments. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You just don't know why you have the moments, but I have them.
Right.
But generally, it was cool. It was this one kid I grew up with in this apartment building, Jakimo.
Okay.
You know, he was a couple years younger than me, but that was the best friend. Like,
nice.
You didn't see me and not see Kimi, or you didn't see Kimi and not see me. Like, you know what I mean? And the whole apartment building, even though we weren't related, it was like family. So like his mom was my auntie.
Okay.
The person upstairs was everybody's auntie.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that unity within that building definitely filled an early void.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Definitely filled an early void. So yeah, like I said, as far as primary school, it really didn't hit me yet as far as what it meant.
Right.
You know, that came in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think sometimes life finds a void, like finds that void to fill, even though we don't really know it or we're not aware of it sometimes, you know. It doesn't totally fix it or mend it completely, but I just think sometimes it knows when to just kind of like, you know, let me help out her, let me do this, put this person in place, and, you know, just kind of like a beautiful distraction, so to speak. So I totally agree, and I totally get what you're saying. I think that's very vital for the audience watching that it's not an easy road, but it does get better, and it can be better. Um, the next question I have to ask: what sort of things changed in you, or felt like they also had died once you got older, or you got older into your life? What kind of things, what type of changes were starting to happen in you from the time you lost your mom and other members of your family to, you getting older? What happened there?
So the big change came in high school.
Okay.
Um, I went to Berkeley Institute,
Hmm.
and it was a good school.
Right.
You had to take a test to get in that. You know what I mean?
Honestly,
So
that was the good old days.
I had a good state line test, and I was like, my family was very excited. I was the first one in my immediate family to go there. You know what I mean? So it was a big deal.
Sure.
Um, One of the things was, like I said, my mom had passed when I was 4.
Hmm.
But in that same year span, my father had went to jail.
Okay.
He wasn't a bad man. He was actually a good guy, very well loved. He just made some poor choices that put him in prison. So my entire childhood was visiting him behind bars. And while he was there, for a really long time, he would promise me the world.
Okay.
He would always say, do this, birthday, Christmas. He used to always say, I'm going to take you to Disney World, knowing that it couldn't happen. And I don't think, he meant any harm by it. It's just what he wanted to do, but he knew he couldn't. It got to a point, my nana got very frustrated by it. And as much as money was really tight, she made it a thing for every Christmas. She started taking me to Disney World.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just to make up for what was going on. A big part of this story with my father is because a lot of people in my family kept the truth from me while he was in prison, and even himself. And I used to visit him every weekend. An uncle of mine or somebody from the family would take me up to visit him. And I think when I was about, I want to say maybe 10 to 11 years old,
Right.
I started finding out things on my own. Why he was there, why everybody was lying to me, the whole nine. And I stopped visiting him. The whole thing with this HIV virus thing, obviously him and my mom were still having relations.
Okay.
So she had passed it on to him. So the entire time he was in prison, he had the HIV virus.
Wow.
You fast forward now, about 2 years, I hadn't seen him. 12 years old, I just started Berkeley. When you start high school, like these are the years where you try to find yourself.
Yeah.
You're becoming your own.
Formative years.
And I got a call, my dad's out of prison.
Okay.
Not because his time was up, he was dying. And he calls me up, and his last real wish, he wanted to take me, his youngest child, and his grandchildren on a little ferry boat around the island. And at 12 years old, I said to this man, no, F you, I hate you. Last words he ever heard from me. And he passed on. The timing I'm trying to think, I feel like it was like the first or second week of Berkeley. And yeah, he died. And let me reiterate once again, he wasn't a bad man, but just all the lies and the broken promises and stuff as a kid,
Right.
It takes a toll on you, you know what I mean? And this is what I said to the man. And like I said, he died. And the day after his death, my granny tried to keep me at home, but I wanted to go to school. I was trying to clear my head. I think it really set in on me what I just said to him. Like this is the last words I said to him.
Right.
And that impacted me. And I went to school, and I'll never forget. We were in music class. This is like the day after he died. And I had my trumpet, whatever. And I got a funny shaped head. I've always been teased about my head, over the years. It's not a big thing. It is what it is. Right. But this particular day of all days, this one classmate was teasing me. And I lost it. I took the trumpet. I think I threw it at him. I tried to beat him. I went on like a whole, I don't know. And I realized what I was doing. I was taking this anger out on somebody who didn't deserve it. And long story short, I went to go and try and jump out the window. I went to commit suicide. 12 years old. And people stopped me, teachers, students. Just lost it. My mind was gone, you know. It was really sinking in that my mother wasn't there. It was sinking in now. I don't have a father either. It was sinking in, wow, this man went and died with these words from me. And I just didn't know how to handle it. So, you know, what comes with that in counseling, everybody thinks I'm crazy, lost my mind. You know,
Take your time.
one of the like mechanisms that I end up using to cope is so weird because I done it intentionally back then.
Okay.
And I still do it to this day unknowingly. But I push people away from me. You know, it felt like everyone around me that I loved was dying. And I didn't want people close to me. You know, so this is the first year of high school. There's no friends. If you don't think I'm crazy, I'm going to hit you just for looking at me stupid. I don't want you to speak to me. I don't want you to talk to me. Nothing. Teachers wouldn't teach me. So it was just a loss. What you say? A lost cause, lost soul, whatever you want to call it. It was just that there. Strangely enough, 1 year later, my brother passed away. I won't get into details about his passing.
Okay.
But it was the last straw for me. I was completely gone. There was no talking to me. There was no trying to help me. There was nothing. So strange. I'd done enough stuff to be expelled from that school. The principal, Ms. Kabisi, she knew that I was smart. She didn't, you know, I think she fought the Board of Education from expelling me. You know, like nobody would teach me. Nobody would talk to me, and that's how I liked it. Just leave me by myself. Like I said, that defense mechanism of just trying to be on my own is what helped me. You know, they sent me to counseling, family tried to talk to me. Just wasn't hearing it. I didn't give up. You can curse.
Go ahead.
I didn't give a fuck.
I think it calls for it.
We can edit
this
it,
is
but
a deep subject.
That's really what it was. I did not give a fuck about nothing. I didn't give what happened to me, what happened to you. Didn't care at all. Just was whatever. Now the strangest thing about that is that when we talked about my nana, I praised her a little while ago for taking me on.
Right.
The actual fact of it is, to the entire island, my nana was this big, beautiful soul. Everybody loved her. She got along with everybody.
Right.
Behind closed doors, it was different. It was mental and verbal abuse, you know, from her and her husband. The memories that I have of my parents mostly came from her, and it was usually negative. You know, my nana wasn't a bad person, but the way that she was brought up was hard, and she brought me up hard. She's light-skinned too. I swear she was racist because she used to always say, like, you're a black bastard. You know, anything black's no good. Like, it was a lot of different put-downs. So to have what I was experiencing death-wise and then having this negativity in the household, I can tell you, I was really no good.
I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. I'm sorry. I'm just taken back. I'm very taken back by your journey into how this changed you. I mean, I totally understand, you know, the anger, you know, you're coming from your mom and then the dad, you know, you found out true things about why he was imprisoned. And then, you know, you're getting older now. Your body you were also going through puberty and adolescent and stuff like that. A lot of emotions and things, you know, you were dealing with kids, teasing you or saying this about you, and they don't understand. You got verbal abuse and physical abuse from your nana and her husband at home. So it's a place right now where you had no common ground. Normally when we have go through situations, there's someone or something or some place we can go to kind of like, this is my peace from the kids at school, from the drama at home, and I can come here to this place and get away from, put everything out of my mind, put all of that stuff away and behind me, and just kind of breathe for a minute. You know what I mean?
And there was no place like
And
that.
there was no place for you like that.
No place.
It's really amazing you're still her sane and not, in Maui right now, honestly.
They thought it. I was voted most likely to be dead or jail or in a mental house. That's serious. I used to read all the time. There was a saying, walk a mile in my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that. Spend 5 minutes in my head. That's just how I felt.
Wow, Cal, like I'm just a bit dumbstruck right now from his story he was just telling me. I asked him what things had changed or how it had changed him or impacted his life, and I couldn't imagine from coming from 4 years old into your teen years and you're in high school, having lost your mom, and then dealing with your father in prison, the loss of him, what your last words. A lot of these things came from anger, because when you're young and you're kind of confused as to why these things happen. We don't really know. We don't know, and then you have your granny at home and her husband mentally and physically abusing you. Like, it's, to me, it's always a place I feel that we can go to that is kind of like a safe space. You can get away, like, for instance, like if I want to get away from work is hell every day. Maybe things are not good at home, and stuff like that, where you can go to some type of safe space. Maybe it's by the ocean, maybe it's with a certain person, that you can just kind of escape and just kind of let those mental things and all the negativity that's happening around you just kind of melt away. But Calboher didn't have that. He had none of that. He had to be always in it, at school, at home, by himself, walking wherever it was. You cannot escape yourself. So I could not imagine at this time, at that point in your life, what that looked like. But you really painted a picture as far as what that looked like so far.
And just to clear up real quick, my granny wasn't physically abusing. She had the mental side of it as far as verbally.
Okay.
It was more her husband was like, he had his ways, you know what I mean? So
right.
Me and him got into a lot. So I just want to make sure it's clear. Nobody thinks that my nana beat me or nothing. Like,
okay.
Your standard licks. She gave me my standard
licks.
What you're supposed to get. But he was like, he wasn't a recovering alcoholic, stuff like that. So he had his ways, you know what I mean?
Right.
This is our Burger's daddy.
Okay.
So you see how Burger is.
Yeah.
You see why we are how we are. Like, you know what I mean? His daddy had his ways, you know what I mean? So,
shout out to Birds. Okay. This next question I want to ask you speaks about the opposite of what today's topic is, which is life. So, with all that going on, years have passed. How did you process your own child being born into this world? And what expectations did you have for her, if any at all?
So I had my daughter at 21.
Okay.
Young, I was in and out of California. Went there for the right reasons, caught up in the wrong reasons, and came back to Bermuda. My daughter being born, it changed everything as far as the violent side of me.
Okay.
I would think. I wasn't quick to just go smack somebody or,
Right.
I was actually start to think a little bit. It caught me right off guard. Like, I mean, it was planned, but it still catches you off guard.
Of course.
This daughter,
Yeah.
this kid, the weirdest thing was, so not knowing that I didn't have parents. My biggest thing was making sure like she knew who I was.
Right.
Situations surrounding my daughter and everything was very complicated in the beginning. Long story short, her mom had a previous child that was actually killed by the father.
Wow.
So my daughter coming into the world without me having done anything wrong, family services was already involved, just because they don't want to see repeats, even though it had nothing to do with me. So from the time she was born, everything was complicated, and the fights I had to go through court, it was a lot, it was a lot, but I was there for everything. I had to, my daughter, her first name is actually Kaylin. That's what her mom named her.
Okay.
And her second name is Sky, which is what I named her. And I can tell you can ask her to this day, because I still say it to her, like, why did I name you Sky? And she knows, I let her know that I overcame a lot of obstacles to be where I was, and I'm still growing.
Right.
There's no limit to what you can achieve in this world.
Never.
If you try. So whenever you doubt yourself and you're not believing in something, my daddy name is Sky. Sky's the limit, and that's the reason behind her name that I gave her. And yeah, she definitely changed everything. I was working, always been a hustler.
Okay.
Maybe not always been smart with what I did, but I was always a hustler. Always had 2-3 jobs. Biggie said putting 5 carats in my baby girl ear.
Sure.
I couldn't get 5, but she had about 2.5.
She about 2. She had 2.5.
She had about 2.5. She had diamond earrings. She had diamond crescent necklace.
Right.
You know what I mean? She had the best clothes, best shoes. My auntie hooked up with the best hairstyle.
Sure.
Like, she was on point. Everything that, like I said, we grew up very poor. My nana was a waitress my whole life.
Okay.
There were 5 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I shared a room with my auntie for most of my life.
Mercy.
So when I got into a position where I was working and I was making decent money, I made sure that she had everything that I never had.
Straight.
I grew up in that era of no name brand shoes, and you're wearing Disney T-shirts for Grub Day.
This
you know what I
is
mean?
it.
I didn't have the Adidas and the Nike. Nintendo, I had to go pack groceries to get that
Right.
stuff. You know what I mean? So for her, I made sure. Gift and a curse, because you're not trying to spoil these kids, but you end up doing it just because you didn't have it.
Right.
So it was just a different feel. But oddly enough, life just has a strange way of twisting that knife sometimes. Because as a parent, and you said this before, I believe we've had conversations,
Right.
we do everything to try to protect our children from things that we go through or we experience and try to show a better way in this, and for the most part, I think her mom and I did. We might have had our disagreements,
Of course.
but when it came to her, it was on point.
Right.
Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago now, my daughter goes to Barclay now too, believe it or not. So like I said, my first week or two, my dad had passed. Her first day at Barclay, her mom passed. And I remember being at work. I was at the job. I think you might have been there. I got the phone call. My daughter was crying. Her and her nana just got home. And they're calling me and they're like, she's ecstatic. She's crying. My mom's on the floor. She's not moving. Daddy, I don't know. I'm coming. Now, they live in Somerset. I lived in Somerset at the time. Left work, speed in Somerset. I could have died on the way. Like, no lie. The traffic that I was in and out of on the bike was crazy. And to get there and see what my daughter was experiencing, I don't think she really knew what was going on yet. Initially, my initial reaction, I flashed back to myself. And I was scared. I was scared for her. You know, she has a lot of my personality.
Mm.
And I knew what it turned me into. It turned me into a monster.
Okay.
You know, and that was my initial reaction. I was really scared for her. The tears were there. The grandmother was there. The aunts. And we hugged each other.
Right.
We talked. And even though it had nothing to do with me, like, you know, life happens.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control when the Reaper wants to call you.
Mm.
I still blame myself because I wanted to protect her from everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't. I couldn't protect her. And to watch her experience what I went through, it killed me. Absolutely killed me. At this point in time, leading to her mom's death, I was already in a different kind of space.
Mm-hmm.
My nana had just passed. Love-hate relationship, my best friend and my worst enemy. You understand?
Mm.
Actually, I never knew how I would react when she passed, and I was scared when that day came. And when that day came, you know, unfortunately, I lost employment because of it. I lost my temper. I got into a situation with somebody.
Mm.
I lost employment. Before I got my new employment, I was in a real dark space. You know, you have been there for so many people, but when you needed people, nobody was there for you.
Right.
I spent the night staring at the ceiling, lights on, not leaving the house, not showering, all that. So to come out of that zone,
Mm-hmm.
to try to regroup from that, to then have that situation happen to my daughter with her mom. And like I said, her mom and I, we never always saw eye to eye. We had our, you know, any baby mama, baby fathers, you know how it goes.
Yeah, of course.
You know how it goes. But I loved her for what she gave me. I might have said at times, you know,
Right.
You never wish bad upon.
Mm-hmm.
So for it just to happen and just to see what my daughter had to deal with. And it's so strange because, like I said, this is her first day at school. So obviously the first couple months were a little bit rough.
Mm.
But she still stayed an A student. She still stayed on the honor roll. Whereas I fell out of school, she stayed focused because she knew her mom would want more from her.
Mm.
She had her moments, she had her tears, she has a little breakdowns from time to time.
Absolutely.
The strength in her is so different from me. And I noticed why. I didn't have a support. Like, there were people, like, there's a lot of people that played a part in helping me to be where I am today. But as far as the initial circle, when I was dealing with my shit, nobody knew how to.
That safe space.
The village that she's in, amongst our families and the community, she has so much support.
Mm.
And it was a blessing. Because she could have ended so much more worse. She's stable.
Mm-hmm.
She's still doing well in school. She knows what she wants to do for college.
All right.
Her personality is so, like, you've met Sky. Sky's
beautiful.
She's a trip, man. You know, she's out
beautiful.
there. You know what I mean? And of course, she's always gonna have her moments, but she's in that space.
Yeah.
And we talk all the time. I said, look, you know, if you want to go for counseling, we can do that. I've been there. If you want to talk to me, nobody understands what you're going through more than I do.
Sure.
You understand? And we have our little talks and stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just, it's almost like, I went through what I went through to know how to handle her for what she's going through.
Mm.
That's how I look at it, like, because it's a strange circle. Like, how the fuck does this happen to me?
Right.
And then it happens to her. Like, what? I used to question for years, like, why did I have to go through this? I could have been a totally different person. I had my parents, I could have been to college, I could have been this, I could have been a whole different personality. But
Right.
instead I became this person because of that. You know? Why did I go through that shit? What did I do to deserve that? And now I look at what she's facing. Did you go through that to know how to do with her?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And no, that's my right hand, man. You know, it's just I mean, you know, I'm trying to keep a turd back. You know what I mean?
Hey, do what you gotta
It's,
do, man. You know, I'm always here for you. Jesus.
yeah, it's just crazy how this cycle goes. But I love her. I'm there for her. She loves me. She's there for me.
Absolutely.
And it's just the reason why I breathe. It's just the reason why I push on. I have my flaws. Like I said, there's still signs of that old self.
Okay.
That comes out.
Right.
The temper short. I'm working on that. This is short. You know what I mean? But she having her, and not just from now what she's going to do, but her whole life changed my aspect of everything. The calm place she was talking about earlier.
Right.
My Sky became my calm place. You know understand?
Okay, I got you.
So anytime with my daughter, anything to do with my daughter, like we had a thing every Sunday weekend when I picked her up. If you ask Sky from the time she was little to about 10, 11 years old, what you want to do on the weekend, she'll always say, I want to go see animals. Go to the aquarium on a Sunday. Like that was her thing. She knew the place like the back of her hand.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That was just her thing. But these were my comfort zones. This is what helped me. She helped me more than I ever helped her. Facts, hands down. And even now with what she's going through, just watching how she handles it, still helps me. It's crazy. So life's out as lemons, for sure. I ain't made no lemonade. I got some sugar water there. Because there's still a lot of things to iron out.
Yeah.
But that's my backbone.
Yeah.
And she pushes me to try and be better. She definitely pushes me.
Well, that's really that's amazing. Like the whole journey as far as you bringing a life into this world in the state that you was in or the state that you're in, and having Sky come into your life and say that was your or became your safe space. I believe that people do go through things for a reason. I really believe that wholeheartedly. I don't think nobody goes through things just because at random, you know. I believe that life has a purpose, and we do say, oh, that's just life, like you said earlier. But I believe life, it has a purpose to it. And like you said yourself, you felt that you believed that you had went through this to in almost some kind of way know how to deal with it or know how to kind of help her along with it when now she went through it with her mom passing. You know, I think that we go through stuff in order to help other people, and by helping others heals ourselves at the same time. That's what I feel from, you know, the brief story you've told on bringing your daughter into this world. There's so much things that you have went through, and there's so much things that there's so much other ways you could have went. And I feel that
This has been dead 3 times. But
this is what I'm saying.
no lie. Not to cut you off.
No, please.
They talk about like the man upstairs.
Uh-huh.
You know, me and him war. Like my relationship with God, because of a question that me asked so many times. Why this? Why that? Like legit war. You know, and I've been in, my daughter's on this watch me die. You know, I got into a really bad accident a few years ago. You know, where I knew one of the firemen that was at the scene. He worked with me at a security company.
Right.
He actually called my security boss, say, hey, we found Carol on the bridge. He's dead. So like her and her mom and other people showed up to the hospital with the expectancy that I was dead. And it's like I can't die. You know, like I've been in situations where like I'm really not supposed to be here. And I'm sitting there like, why, like, do you continue to torture me like so? Why, like, what? Yes, certain things in life we create ourselves. You understand? We create a lot of things, and other things just happen. And they say it's not what you go through, it's how you react to it. my reaction to a lot of things was poor. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you looked at me earlier, you made a comment like how you're still here, you're doing this. I'm really not as strong as I make it across to be. I can tell you that. I try to smile every day, I try to be this. I cry every night.
Mm.
I don't go a single night to bed without crying first. I'm thinking about this or thinking of that. You know, it still haunts me today, all the different things. And the crazy part about it, I can tell you, that's when a lot of times I gave up. A lot of times I gave up. Somehow, some way, something about that little girl makes me not. I can tell you I gave up on life a few times, mate. Facts. Something about her just, I don't know. She pushes it.
I think the part that you feel that you do go to sleep every night or cry yourself to sleep every night and feel like you've given up, and you have given up so many times, I feel that that's evidence to show that you still fight. You say you're not strong, but I feel that that's the evidence to say that, you know, it takes strength to still get up and smile in the morning and come to work. You know how much other people, I'm not trying to take you away or deteriorate anything from what you feel, because I don't feel that. I couldn't imagine. But what I'm trying to say is that I see a lot of other people come to work dealing with a lot less than what you have on your plate, and they look broken down, beat up, and disgusted. And for all that you have on your plate, and you to come work and still smile, and I see you. It's whether you feel you're putting it on or not. I know genuine. And you come work and you can still smile, kick it with the fellas, got the music on, we guys are working and all of that stuff, and that takes strength. That's not weakness. That's strength. And I feel you definitely deserve yourself to give yourself that credit, as to say that you can stand proudly and say that I'm a strong black man. Proudly. Despite what you're going through and despite where you've been and came from. I think those tears at night, like I said, it's a in a way in saying that when we truly give up, I think that's when you're gonna stop crying. When you cry, that means you still give a shit. You know what I mean? You're crying because you still give a shit, and that's strength. So that means you're crying because, look, I still care. I still want to do something about my situation. I still am going to be a better person. It's not just, you know, crying in defeat. You may think it is. But like I said, when you stop crying, I feel that's when you really, truly have just given up. Emotions means there's a fight going on. Kind of like in our body when something happens and our knee or our foot, something gets inflamed and it gets swollen. There's something going on where your body's protecting you from something. Those tears are a sign of that something's going on, so you're still fighting. So even though you might be inflamed right now, you're still fighting. That means there's still hope, and there's still a chance and a way out of this. You know? So that's I think some people need to take that and really let that just soak in. Learn from Calvin. Learn from my boy Calbo. And you know, allow it to bless you and reach into your heart and your mind, and just kind of let it, you know, sit there for a bit. And if it's not you, maybe it's someone else that you know that needs words that were spoken today. Yeah, like I was saying, I think it's pure strength. What you're displaying is it's nothing but strength. And I know sometimes it's hard seeing that in the situation in your own bubble and stuff. We kind of get in our own way sometimes, so to speak. You know what I mean? But I think it's definitely strength. Um, the last thing I want to ask you is, what are you? What is your overall like takeaway from this topic? Where are you now with all of this? You're more grown. Your daughter's gotten older and things like that. And also, what would you say to our audience that's watching and listening?
So where I am now, I'm a supervisor at Butterfield Vallis.
Hey,
Guess I'm climbing the ladder a little bit. I'm engaged.
congratulations.
I have my daughter. I have a stepson. Mentally, still getting there. Have my moments. Personality wise, still getting there. I have my moments. What I can suggest that I think makes it a little bit easier for anyone going through whatever they're going through, you have to find some type of closure. For me, my closure was my nana's funeral.
Okay.
Like I said, that's my best friend, my worst enemy. And people go to funerals and we're so quick to praise a person and talk all these good things about them.
Right.
No one really speaks that truth.
Right.
And I actually got up and I made up a poem at her bedside when she was dying.
Okay.
Like freestyled, made something up. And then when she passed on, I kind of like changed a couple of things to obviously adapt to the situation.
Yeah, of course.
And I said it. Like I got up in front of everybody and like the pastor looked at me like people like no one was expecting.
Yeah. He was like out of decorum.
Lord, I do not talk to you often. Actually, probably never at all. I guess I've always kind of blamed you for my life downfalls. I could never understand why you would take away my loved ones. My mother, my father, my brother. I was only a child. They say that you always have a plan. Well, that plan left me reckless and wild. My nana stepped up and she raised me as her own. Food in my stomach, clothes on my back. Her house was my home. But I put her through hell as a result of my anger. I hurt her so much at times, she just looked at me as if I were a stranger. But it wasn't all one-sided. No, Nana, you hurt me a lot too. Memories of my parents were mostly negative, all words stemming from you. You used to say that I will be no good just like my father. It took me years of pain to understand that you only wanted me to strive harder. My best friend and worst enemy, both one and the same. But no matter how much we hurt one another, we always defended each other's name. All the trips to Disney World, I will forever cherish. You would spoil me in such a way as if our lifestyle was lavish. Even though money was tight and times were a struggle, you showed me your affection in gestures, even though neither of us could say I love you. So many memories I can speak on, the good and the bad, but the one that stands out is the tears I finally gave you from not being upset or sad. The day that I graduated seemed like your most proud moment. You showed me off to everyone a real joyous moment. Later on, I became a father, and if you ask my daughter, the best dad in the world. And at first glance, you were in love with my little girl. Watching you in the hospital bed just did not feel real. Waiting to see if you got better, I felt weak, no longer nerves of steel. We had come so far from everything that we had been through. When I would say, I love you now, you said, Punky, I love you too. But unfortunately, your time is up with us now from this place. It's God's turn now. He wants to see your beautiful face. You have been his loyal soldier, and on his shoulder you now lean. And guess what, Nana? On the other shoulder, there's Walleen. Mother and daughter, reunited again. There's no way I could pay you back for everything that you ever done, but I just want you to know that I understand. I love you always and forever, until we meet again. Amen. When I spoke that in front of the congregation, everything, I had no more hate in my heart. I had no more hate. I forgave her. I let go. I forgave my father. I let go. I forgave my brother. I let go. Find your closure. That's how you move on. That's how you progress. You're still going to have moments, but you'll be better for it. Yeah. Boss, proud of what you're doing. The show is lit. Next time I need a better topic that makes me laugh and stuff, but it's good because, you know, years ago I wouldn't talk to nobody. I kept everything in, and I think that's what was most hurtful more than anything, was keeping shit in. That's where it hurts you. And as I got older, me and you first met. In 2 days, we knew everything about each other. Facts. You had that personality that I craved. You had that relationship that I craved. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately to you, you got years of me lacking, pouring into somebody right there because it felt right.
Okay.
You understand? So you keep doing what you're doing. Y'all blessing. You and I had our ups, I had our downs. But y'all blessing regardless. I always love you for life.
Likewise.
Anybody with you, I got you.
You know that.
All right. Man, my boy. Oh, shit. You want to tell you, bro? This ain't where we started, bitch.
No.
Good shit.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Wow, guys, I just really had me in tears. I was trying to hold him back this entire show, just let you know that I was really trying, but that poem just took it. It took me. It really took me. And I really thank God for this man being in my life, because he has taught me a lot about myself. He's opened my eyes to certain things, and just being an overall blessing as far as being a friend to me, the same way in which you felt that how you pushed away people, or how you do push away people and stuff like that. I just wanted to thank him, because I never really had any like real friends like that. So when you came along, and it was like, wow, like this guy's real Chris, like, you know what I'm saying? His understanding is, you know, we get along, funny, we talk crap, we talk shit, whatever, you know, we guys sit off, have a drink or whatnot. And it was just like an immediate click. And for someone like me to really like connect with someone like you or from your world and things like that, it really meant miles to me. it really, I don't know if you know the impact that it really had upon me as far as acceptance is concerned. And so that's why I really thank God for you, because it's like it was something that, you know, to me, that it was like I could never achieve in my life, you know, having a really good friends that are really close, like, you know, a really solid group of friends, or, you know, things like that. And you came along and you really realized that dreams do come true. And that's what I'm thankful for. And I hope you guys took away a lot. A lot was said, and it was a lot of gems dropped, a lot of pearls. And I hope that you guys took some of those things away, because it really touched me, and it really spoke to Cal as far as him getting to tell his story, and kind of just bringing out, you know, things that other people need to hear. That's why never be ashamed of your story, and never be, you know, scared to tell your story, because you don't know how you're going to affect the next person. That's all I have to say about that.
Facts.
Period. All right, OGs. It's been another great episode. I want to thank you all. I really appreciate you guys for your views, for your subscriptions, and for your likes, and you just listening to my content. It really means a lot. I have a lot to say, and I want you guys to listen. So there will be much more coming from me in the future, so stay tuned. All right, and remember, you've been with me, OG, in the cut. Peace. I
was waiting for it. He didn't do it, so I had to do it. Shit.
Honestly.